All right, everybody, welcome back to the Gill Strap Garage. I'm Brandon. Today we've got a 2016 or 17, I don't remember offhand, Dyna lowrider that needs a clutch. A couple other issues we're taking care of as well. Fork legs are out at powder coat. We had some electrical issues I worked through real quick, but right now I'm going to show you guys how to do the clutch on your Harley. This is going to be pretty standard procedure. This happens to be the Dyna. Torque specs may be different. I don't know. Always refer to your manual. But we're going to check it out right now. I've got some tools laid out in front of me. I've got clutch plates soaking in this baggie right here, so they're ready to go in. Typically you want to use the same type of fluid that you're going to be running in the primary. So we're going to get started. I've got oil dripping. We're going to make a little mess when we take this primary cover off. That's all right. I'll get some rags, have them ready to go. But let's get started on this. I'm going to start by taking off the foot peg here. You can see I've already, actually, let me back up a little bit. I've already got my derby cover off because I kind of wanted to inspect in there. When I took it off, I could smell the clutch immediately. So right now, before I take any of this off, I'm going to start by loosening my clutch cable, just because it's going to need to be done later. And it's first step I do starting, last step putting it back together. Oh wow, that may be part of the issue too. I think this thing is way out of adjustment from whoever adjusted it last. But anyway, we'll get it figured out. It's possible it could be the wrong cable too. I know the customer had bars done. When we go back together, I may need to find out if bars were, or if the cable was replaced. But I'm gonna pull the pegs off right now. Whew. Yeah, the customer had taken this bike to another shop where they charged them somewhere like around $1,000 to do a set of handlebars. Kind of crazy to me, but when he got it back, he had electrical issues. He had his fork seals were leaking, which that's probably not a direct result from that, but still no fun either way. They were leaking bad too. He had some blinker issues in the back, which it was one of the ground wires on one of the blinkers was broken. The LED lights weren't even plugged in directly, but we took all that off the bike and just ran his integrated low profile blinkers anyway. All right, and now we're going to pop all of these loose, all the bolts all the way around. I don't care much for working on these bikes while they're up on these jack lifts right here. But I don't really have much of a choice because I've got two bikes down on both of my other lifts. And this is kind of what I got to work with. So I just make sure they're strapped down real good. And that's pretty much all I can do. I'm gonna get a couple rags. I don't like the way that feels. Very, very tight. And threads look okay. Probably run a tap through that, chase those threads a little bit. All right, now that we have that off, I'm going to take out this throwout assembly right here. All you need is a pair of snap ring pliers. There's a little clip in there. Careful, because these will go flying if you're not steady with them. I always set stuff like this back in the primary case that I took off. We can pull this out. That's all you need there. I'll have to break this loose and change this adjustment when it goes back together, but for now it's out. It's going to be a 10 millimeter socket for these. millimeter, not standard. Oh, you know, I'm gonna get my impact for that just because it's easier. And you want to loosen these things up evenly too. So, you know, make a triangle. There's 2 triangles. You don't want to put too much pressure on these one way when you're going in or out with them. We will, in this case, we will be reusing this spring and these plates right here. So this piece here will just kind of slide out. Set that off to the side. And now we'll start fishing out our clutch plates. And, oh wow. You can see these things are worn pretty bad. So on some of these, I don't know if the camera's even gonna pick it up. You'll see they're a little higher. Some of them are a little lower. You can't smell it. I can smell that these things are smoked. But we're gonna kind of take this out in order. Now we are gonna be reusing these steel plates too, unless I take them apart and see something abnormal on them. But a lot of the times they're okay to reuse. Kind of just come out in a whole assembly like that. And I think I still got a couple back there, a couple small ones. I like to get a couple of these hook picks to fish these things out. Be mindful when you pull these things, when you pull these small rings out, it's not straight, it's kind of bowed. You want to have the curved part in. Be mindful of this small plate as well. And that should be everything in there. There is one smaller ring in there that we will be reusing. I'm just gonna leave that in place. There's no need to pull it out. And then I'm gonna open up my bag here. I actually want to reuse this oil, so I'm going to drain some of this back into the quart that I was using. I'll be right back. I didn't get all of it, but I got most of it. That's all right. I didn't have a full quart in there anyway. Oh. All right. Back in with a smaller clutch plate. Push it in there. Now we're going to take that curved ring I was telling you about, place that in, and then we're going to take our first plate, place that in, and now we're just going to start alternating plate, steel, plate, steel. And keep in mind too, this is just an OEM equivalent replacement. When you're upgrading to one of those big old monster clutches or something, you'll want to pay attention to their directions. Because a lot of them have, you know, you can get an extra plate kit, or you can get this, or you can get that, and they'll have some special directions in there. But that should look like that. We're going to set this assembly back in. I'm going to start a couple threads just to hold this in place, but I'm going to have to pull them back out and Loctite them. All right, Loctite and a torque spec. Let me get a torque spec. I believe 100 inch-pounds, but I don't like to guess. Okay, 70 to 100, so I'll split it and go 85. Blue Loctite and a red bottle. Which doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess when you're selling this stuff, it's got to make dollars, not cents. I'm going to get these all close with the impact without impacting them. Just saves a lot of work with a torque wrench. Poop. That's that. I guess I can break this free, have it sit back in place. That's not working the way I wanted it to. My God, that's tight. That should not be that tight. I'm gonna have to set that in there and then put a snap ring and use an impact to take that out. That is insanely tight. Where'd my, oh, there. Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna start. I guess this part's pretty important to talk about. I'm kind of getting lost in my own thoughts here, not in the video. So you want to have your adjustment screw here loose, and you're going to run it in very lightly until it just stops. Don't put pressure on it, just stops. And I'm going to check the book for any, if it says anything about a new clutch, but it's usually between 1/2 and 1 full turn, and I normally split it and put it at about 3/4. I'm gonna have to restart that. Let me look at the book first. Double check before I do something I shouldn't. Okay, I was right. Okay, back it off. Just get it ready to seat. Lightly touches. 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn, or 1/2 to 1 turn. I'll split it at 3/4. Hold it in position while I tighten this nut. And now we torque it to between 75 and 120 inch-pounds. Now, honestly, I'll probably set it to 120 just because I want to go a little bit tighter with this one. I'm going to put a little, I just need a little indicator to make sure that this adjustment screw doesn't move. Because a lot of the times they don't, but if it does, then I need to redo my adjustment. They sell a fancy tool so you can get this thing precise every time. I just don't have it. There we go, that's all it takes. And my blue mark is exactly where I left it. So, perfect. That feels a lot better than it did before too. It was like pushing the plates apart before, which is probably why the clutch is bad. Ruin my pants real quick. And now I'm just turning out my adjustment at the clutch cable. So when you adjust it to, you want a little bit of play in the lever. You don't want to have it real tight because then you're going to snap your clutch cable. And I've got a guy coming in to replace one of those pretty much any day now. I'm going to tighten this back up, and I won't know for sure until I ride it, because sometimes I'll readjust them depending on how it feels. But his clutch should be adjusted. Tighten that back up. Put his cable back in place. And I need my gasket, my new tower gasket. Replace that. It goes on the shift shaft, or you'll be leaking like my bike is right now, because I forgot to replace it on mine, and now I got to replace the new primary gasket and the inner one. But it's all right. Oh, new gasket. A dull knife. That's pretty much that. You want to be careful when you're putting your bolts in that you're not pinching the gasket anywhere. I want to put some Loctite on all my bolts while they're out. Oh, I didn't run that tap through that one. Okay, pull it back out and do it quick. Yeah, a little dirty. That's how you end up with broken bolts and stripped threads and bad times. Oh, my Loctite. That was an expensive screw up. Before I put my foot pegs back on, I'm going to make sure I'm not leaking oil. And to make sure I'm not leaking oil, I have to add oil.
Well, our sticker.
When in doubt, numbers out. Remember that, okay?
Wait, no. Actually, no. The next time we go to Knott's, I want to ride Silver Bullet first.
If we can.
Yeah.
All right, torque wrench time. Beep.
Why do they keep noise when you do it?
Beep. Because I'm not actually torquing it. Beep. Beep. Beep.
No, no. In my pocket now.
Okay, everyone. Well, that's about as far as I'm going to get on this bike today. I still got to go to work. Clutch should be replaced and adjusted. I will double check when the bike is rollable and make sure that it's releasing when it's supposed to and engaged when it's supposed to. And that's it. That's how you replace the clutch on your Harley Davidson. If you got any questions, drop a comment down below. If you found it helpful, a thumbs up is appreciated. And if you're not subscribed already, please consider doing so. I'll see you in the next video.